Welcome to another broadcast of the Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.
Would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Whose dog today?
Mine, I think.
I put it right there so it doesn't get forgotten. Well, Commissioner Kukowski gets our dog. Our quote for today: never look down on anyone unless you are helping them up.
Well, you're getting better every week.
I'm trying, Commissioner.
You say something important by the end of the year.
Good morning, everybody. No, is this on? Can you hear me?
Take your package, Mr. Cordes.
This is a toy fox terrier found in Elyria. She was a stray. Come down to our Lorain County dog kennel and pick out a nice little pet for you. This one seems to like women a little bit more than men, so if any of you ladies out there looking for a companion, this would be a great one for you.
But she has extremely good taste.
Teresa?
First thing on the agenda is an abatement, approving an amendment and assignment of the enterprise zone tax abatement between the City of Avon, Ohio and Customary Culinary, Inc., formerly known as DM Trinity, and Miss June Mitchell, the Avon City Assistant Finance Director, and Janine Schaffnit, which is Custom and Culinary, is present, and I don't know if Ron would like to say anything on it, or...
Mr. Twining?
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a procedural event this morning, and I think I would like to ask June Mitchell to come up and discuss this, and then the company will probably have a few words.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is June Mitchell. I'm with the City of Avon. And this is basically just a name change. Culinary Foods, or Custom Culinary, is the new name from DM Foods. They purchased DM Foods in November of 2005. They've since purchased 29 acres and are looking to expand. They are very good corporate citizens, and we are hoping that there will be no problems with the name change. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak from Custom Culinary? Your 15 minutes of fame.
How about 12 seconds?
Okay.
We like that even better.
My name is Janine Schaffnit. I'm the plant operations manager at Custom Culinary, and I think June said it all. We purchased the facility in 2005. We have since purchased 29 more acres with the intent, depending upon volume, of expanding, and we're thrilled with our location, with our employees, and this is a simple name change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion to that, Teresa?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Make a motion to approve the amendment of the enterprise zone abatement?
I'll second.
Anything further? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Do we want to just keep going on our presentations right now? Next one?
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Leon Mason, representing United States Senator Brown on the earned income tax credit.
Good morning, Leon.
Good morning. Nice to see everyone again. As she said, my name is Leon Mason. I'm with U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown's office, Cleveland office. And for those of you not aware, his new Cleveland office is located at 600 East Superior Avenue, Suite 2450, and that's Cleveland, Ohio, 44114. Our new phone number is area code 216-522-7272. New fax, 216-522-2239. I wanted to speak with the commissioners today about the earned income tax credit. For those of you not familiar, I will give a brief breakdown of what the EITC is. EITC was introduced in 1975 during the Gerald Ford administration. It was legislation to basically get persons above the poverty level and encourage persons to work. It is a tax break for low to moderate individuals and working families. It again was addressed in 1986 by President Ronald Reagan to add additional money to be refunded to the persons, working families, and individuals in the United States. In 1986, Ronald Reagan also referred to the earned income tax credit as the best anti-poverty, best pro-family, best work incentive legislation to ever come out of Congress. Currently in Lorain County, 18,420 persons claim the earned income tax credit. That equals a total amount of $34,022,748 that was placed back into Lorain County. There are additional 4,506 people who did not claim the earned income tax credit, and if they were, that would have brought another $8.5 million into Lorain County. The plus to that is this, that $8.5 million that were missed out by the hardworking families and individuals would generate back into their local economy, primarily, of course, Lorain County. In 2003, then Congressman Brown formed a group called the Lorain County EITC Coalition. This group was formulated of social services agencies throughout the county, local small businesses, tax counseling for the elderly, which is provided by AARP, and volunteers and the Internal Revenue Service. The job of this coalition is to extend and provide outreach of the earned income tax credit, because he's aware that so many persons are missing out on this valuable tax credit. In 2006 filing season, which is this filing season, the maximum credit a person can earn from the EITC is $4,536. That's for a married couple filing jointly. The minimum for EITC that can be refunded is $412. But again, this is excess money that persons are not expecting. It's an incentive to work. It's an incentive for the low-wage earners to work because of the possibility of receiving such a large tax break. My purpose here today is to ask for assistance, not only from the commissioners, but from persons of Lorain County to investigate the EITC and learn more about it, because, like I said, it is valuable to the persons who reside in Lorain County. It's valuable to our state. But before I'm here before you today to tell you it is really extremely valuable for the persons of Lorain County. At these various sites, free tax preparation services are provided by what is called the VITA, and that's an acronym for Voluntary Income Tax Assistance. This also brings an additional $915,200 if we take the average of $200 per return. Again, this puts money back into the working family's pocket. Again, this money can be turned over and generated back into the community. The volunteers are trained by IRS volunteers. So they're certified in what they do. They know what they do. Currently this year, we have about 14 volunteer income tax assistance sites. That's a combination of 3 in Lorain County, which is at the Lorain County Labor Agency, Elyria Public Library, West River Branch, and there is also an additional location at Kennedy Plaza in downtown Lorain, and the other 11 to 12 tax counseling for the elderly, AARP sites, which are uses their volunteer core. As I flip through, and I like to provide data because I think that numbers speak a lot when we talk about the EITC and, again, what it can provide. A lot of their money that is refunded to them are used for purchases such as first-time home buyers. They pay outstanding bills. They may provide that extra boost that a person needs when they need it. The money is, again, beneficial, and it really helps to stimulate the economy. Again, EITC remains the single most largest federal aid program for working families. It is not a handout, and by any means, I would not want anyone to believe that it is a handout. It is created for persons who work hard, but again, earn a low wage. Last year, the Lorain County EITC Coalition prepared a total of 2,906 free tax returns. 2,034 of those were electronically filed. And what electronically filed means is that a person can get their return direct deposit into their bank account in 10 days or less. The benefit to this is it's normally that low to moderate income working families, individuals, tend to go to paid tax preparer, and I won't mention any paid tax preparers' names, and they take out what is called a refund anticipation loan. That is a loan against their money. What they're not understanding is that to pay back a refund anticipation loan, you're paying up to 225% return on this money, which again puts the taxpayer at a loss. So the persons who are earning these low wages, again, will suffer in the long run by paying up to 225% of their return. Again, 70% of the returns were e-filed. Of those 2,906 returns, we have 494 were EITC returns. That calculates to $517,483 generated back into Lorain County's economy. Total refunds are $1,882,854 provided by free tax preparation. And in fee savings, by not going to a paid preparer, they save over $500,000. To be exact, it was $581,200. Any person who earns less than $39,000 can visit one of the 14 to 15 VITA sites. That is just the main income requirement. You can be a single person and earn less than $39,000. You can be a family, but your combined income must be less than $39,000 to receive free tax preparation. Most recently, Senator Brown has co-chaired a committee with State Treasurer Richard Cordray, and he has formed an Ohio Earned Income Tax Credit Coalition. The purpose of this is to extend outreach. We need to get the word of Earned Income Tax Credit out, because nationally, I believe there's over $40 billion available to persons who can receive EITC dollars. The importance, again, of the state coalitions is to combine the many coalitions throughout the state, because we're all working for the same common goal. We want to help the working families. And if there's questions, I'll be happy to entertain questions.
Thanks, Leon.
Okay.
Is there any way we can get a list of those locations and maybe have Hal put them on a graphic with our meeting so people know where they can go to?
Yes, I have a list. I can provide you with a list.
On the website.
And put them on the website. Thank you, Teresa.
We have both of our newspapers here today, and I hope you were writing frantically all these numbers and areas where they can get the free tax preparation done. And you said $8.5 million of monies that are not being tax deducted by these working families.
Right.
Correct?
A lot
That's a
aren't-
lot of money.
Yeah, they're not aware of it. It could be a total of $9.4 million if we include the preparation fees.
So on a local churn, that would be $55 to $60 million back in the local economy.
Do you happen to mail this information to the different tax preparers that are out here in Lorain County so that they're aware of this earned income tax credit?
As a congressman, Sherrod did mail out the information. As a senator, he has not, as of yet, been, I don't know if this budget has not been provided to him, but to send the information out. But the IRS does a good job of putting the information out, although we all know that we can do a better job. The local coalitions do a good job. I can say Cuyahoga County, for example, does a good job of getting EITC information out. They put the information on their buses. The local banks are involved because now local banks provide financial literacy for persons, because they know that a large portion of low to moderate income individuals are unbanked. They don't have banking accounts. So another portion of the coalitions is to let people know that you're getting this $4,536 refund. You could put it in a savings account and use it for future purchases, as I mentioned before, a home, a down payment on a car. You can possibly pay for a children's education if you can hold on to the money long enough and it's not needed. So.
And you did say there are over 4,000 who were eligible but did not
Did not
apply.
claim. There's 18,000, and they said 25% of those did not claim the tax, so that equals, I believe, 4,506 persons who didn't claim it. And that's where we generate the $8.4 million.
Mr. Cortez, is there any way we can get these on our buses?
It's done.
Okay.
We did it 2 hours ago.
Oh, okay.
The
Do you want to do a flyer? Do you want to do a pamphlet? We do have those interior racks that we were going to use for advertising. We can actually come up with, if you want to spend a little bit of money, it won't be significant. We're talking about, a couple $100. We can do a couple of the ads that go on the inside in the racks, and we can post them on the buses.
Yeah,
Your
let's
space.
take a look at it and get that done also, help in this program.
I can mention one other good idea that I heard while in Columbus, and I'm not saying that this be done or considered. Franklin County workers and state workers are putting the information inside their employees' W-2 forms when it's returned to them. Because EITC, again, is a word-of-mouth benefit. So the persons who get that information may not qualify for EITC, but,
That's a good idea, but I think ours already went out.
well, yeah,
But
it's
for
too late
next
for this year, but
For next year,
possibly.
that's a good idea.
We can always do a payroll stuffer. So if you're interested in doing that, we sometimes do payroll stuffers. I think the bus, though, the target audience is the low to moderate income, and our transit here in Lorain County is definitely not convenient ridership. We're I would say 100% need ridership. So we do assist a lot of low to moderate income people within the county. So I think that would be our best vehicle to promote this right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
you.
Tell Sherd we said hello.
Okay.
Shirley R. Johnston over. I just wanted to emphasize the importance of getting the information out, not just there's free tax service, but somehow or other to emphasize what you're saying so that you really reach those low and moderate income people so they know what kind of the service is important to them and what it will save them and what it will give them.
Thank you. Teresa? Next. Oh, we got 5 or 6 minutes. You want to go back to?
Whatever your pleasure is.
Let's go back to the agenda.
Well, we don't have we don't have a.
It's not a
hearing
public meeting. You
tonight.
can
We
go.
Oh,
can
it's not
just
a public, we
go.
can bring
We
them
can
up?
just
Oh,
go
okay,
forward.
great. We don't have to do it on time? Come on, Ken. Let's do you next.
Good morning.
Morning, Ken.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm here on behalf of the Board of Health of the Lorain County General Health District that is about to have their 1 mil levy expire at the end of this year. This levy has existed since the early 1950s, and in fact, for many, many years, was the boards of health were limited to 1 mil. But I would say probably about 10, 15 years ago, it was expanded to the state law was expanded to allow more than 1 mil to be placed on the ballot. However, our Board of Health has not seen fit to go beyond that. So at this point, our Board of Health, last 5 years ago, we passed a renewal levy for this ballot initiative, and we also are now asking for a replacement. So the Board of Health is requesting that the commissioners place on the ballot. They've followed the procedures as advised by the auditor's office and the prosecutor's office to have this placed on the ballot. I guess the final issue would be the commissioners to officially place this on the ballot for the May primary. Again, this is a replacement levy. It accounts for approximately 50 to 55% of the health district's budget. It funds a number of services relative to disease investigations, child health clinics, immunization services, senior citizen clinics, and various other environmental and public health programs, health education and the like. And particularly what the board has been active in the past year or so is establishing a pilot project developing a coordinated school health process that is a community process, and certainly would like to expand this beyond the current 4 school districts that we're including. The levy will essentially be on the ballot for everywhere in Lorain County except the cities of Avon Lake, Elyria, and Lorain, and that part of Vermilion that is in Lorain County. Then that essentially is the composition of the Lorain County General Health District. So at this point, I'll answer any questions you might have about the district, its operations, its funding mechanisms, and certainly talk about further issues relative to the levy or the services.
We said 50% of this levy is your budget. Where does your other 50% come from?
Well, that can come from a variety of sources. For example, food service operations, all food service operations have a licensing fee. There are other licensed entities that pay for that. There are some grant services. We do receive some Homeland Security funding that is also parceled out partially to the City of Lorain, the City of Elyria health districts. That's a significant amount. The Lorain County WIC program, the Women's, Infants, and Children's Supplemental Nutrition Program, is around $600,000 a year. Actually is a county-wide program that we operate. It's not just the general health district, but the entire county. And that's a significant funding source.
Okay, thank you.
Ken, will this replacement levy help with getting more of the septic systems inspected throughout the county? That's always been an issue for the last couple of years that we've been here, a hot issue on whether they're, inspected up to date, need to be replaced, or going forward with sewers.
Very good point. As of January 1st, the state has passed new home sewage regulations, and they've gone into effect. It is actually going to make a significant change in the operations and requiring continuing inspections. Off-lot disposals will have what is called an NPDS permit, a National Pollutant Elimination and Discharging System permit that is going to be established by the Ohio EPA. There's going to be an intensive process to evaluate soils. It would imagine that it's going to probably double the size of our staff that are doing these inspections. That's our speculation, that some of just the soil evaluation may take anywhere from 3 to 4 hours for a soil evaluation. And in addition to that, additional inspections. And we've been working also on a data processing, a database system with the county auditor to establish a better inspection system. So to answer your question specifically, yes, I think this is going to expand that. We're going to have a better idea of where the systems are that are not properly functioning and those systems that are properly functioning.
Thank you.
Is that for new construction you're speaking of?
Yes, primarily for new construction. There are also situations that will require some existing inspections, but that's primarily through change of ownership and the like. But I would, these rules apply just to new homes at this point.
Okay, so we're not going back anywhere and checking the
Well,
systems that have been a problem in different areas.
We're not required to do that, but we do that. We are doing that. We're doing surveys. We've done that for a number of years, and we're continuing to look at off-lot disposal. In fact, assisting some areas with their storm sewer problems. If they're finding storm sewers that have older systems that built in the 20s, 30s, 40s that have been discharging into these storm tile that are then discharging into the streams in Black River, we're trying to work on those areas as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any more questions? Any more questions,
No,
Commissioner?
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ken.
Thank you very much.
We need a motion to declare it necessary to place this item on the May ballot.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ready for the transportation center?
We're preparing.
You're preparing? Okay.
I have a learning curve.
Huh?
I need a learning curve
Oh,
on this
okay.
stuff.
Where's Ernie?
Commissioners, do you have a presentation on your?
We did have.
We did.
It's gone. Now it's back.
Is it out there on all of those monitors?
Karen's going to be passing out some information, Commissioners. We're working on Phase 1 of the Transportation Center, and we thought at this juncture it would be nice to bring the board and the public up to speed on where we're at with this project. It's been a long-term project for us. We've been working on it for, seems like forever. The train station was purchased in 2000. We were lining up a lot of different revenue streams, which took a considerable amount of time to do. I was hoping that Senator Brown's representative hadn't left yet, but
I'm still here.
Leon, I'd like you to hear this.
Because we need more money, Leon. Would you like a cup of coffee,
We
maybe
do,
a
and
little
I'm
donut?
glad I caught you with your coat half on and you took it off, so thank you. Senator Brown, formerly Congressman Brown, has been very generous to us, has provided significant resources for the train station project, the intermodal hub transportation center. It's gone by various names, and while you're here, we're going to show you where we're at, and then we're going to ask you to please remind the senator that we still need considerable assistance to complete this project. So it's just, it's rather pleasant to have you here. You had a good message on the earned income tax credit, but we're going to push the envelope a little bit with you here. Karen, why don't you go ahead and start off the presentation?
Our first slide here is going to talk about a little bit of the history of the building. As we all know, the building is on the National Register of Historic Places. It was originally designed, thank you, by Stuart Wagner and Alfred Feldheimer, and the original cost of construction was about $250,000. Think about that. The New York Railroad Station officially opened on April 6th of 1925. And here are some historical photographs we were able to find in the archives. Shows of course, the exterior of the building, and also the interior lobby space, the benches, and the original ticket booth. Our first task was to do asbestos abatement work. Basically, we needed to remove all the asbestos-containing materials in the building. We had ceiling plaster, that should be floor tile, ceiling tile, and pipe insulation. We also had some insulation debris that needed to be scooped up and bagged and taken out. And we got that all finished up. This shows you some of the areas where the asbestos was. You'll see the ceiling tiles, some of the floor tiles. And our asbestos abatement funding. I'm sorry, I'm walking.
I won't be able to hear you on the tape.
All right. Our funding was, we received a $600,000 enhancement grant from NOACA. Out of that $600,000, we set aside $60,000 to do the asbestos abatement work. $540,000 was then transferred to our federal transit funds to be used for the remaining portion of the project. The asbestos abatement work actually cost us $27,000. I'm sorry, $34,000, and we were reimbursed by ODOT a total of $27,000. So the actual cost to the county was $6,700. And we were able to completely take all the asbestos out of the building. So our final outcome was to have all the asbestos-containing materials removed from the inside of the building.
Sorry, Commissioners, but it won't come out on the video if she doesn't stand here and speak into the microphone.
She doesn't listen very well.
Obviously. So Karen, you need to speak into the mic.
Or just give her the microphone. She was
No, I wanted to stand there and speak into the mic. Go ahead.
I'm not talking into the mic.
Oh,
But I
thought she was doing excellent.
Okay, Commissioners, you know, we're going to be doing we've been doing the interior demolition on Phase 1. I'll quickly go through this list. We have some photos. The interior demolition was removing the interior finishes that are not original to the building. There was significant renovations to this building several times throughout the course of the building's life, and those renovations needed to be removed. We need to remove the second floor steel structure. For those of you who had the pleasure of being in the train station, you know that they had a steel girder system where they divided the large area, the rotunda area, into two different floors. We had to provide temporary lighting, provide temporary heating, remove abandoned unnecessary piping, and waterproof the basement, which was taking on a considerable amount of water. This is a slide of the interior prior to demolition. You can see the wood finishes, the staircase, all the knotty pine on the back walls. All of these things came with subsequent renovations. Can you continue to look at some of the slides from around the building? This was after we had the building cleaned. We were keeping it in this state for a number of years, and you can see the back doors that were going into the loading area in the upper right-hand slide. Once again, considerable renovation from the original structure over the years. I'm not sure why we have a slide of the bathroom, but that was fine.
I just moved right through that.
But back up to that slide is something that's interesting there. You'll see that the older marble on the walls in the bathroom. At one time, that was a considerable cost piece that unfortunately we're probably not going to be able to duplicate this time, but we are trying to salvage as much of that marble as we can from those restrooms. Some of the demolition findings, we had original signage behind the walls, discover unique architectural elements, and the condition of the ornamental ceiling, which is something we're going to speak to here very shortly, and we'll take you into a few pictures there. Karen, why don't you speak a little bit to some of the findings and describe some of these pictures now that you see. We had quite a few photos, Commissioners, and I really wanted to put some of the before and afters next to each other, but I hope you can still make the visual connection from what we just showed you.
What you can see here in the bottom left-hand photograph, as they were removing some of that wood that we saw earlier, they were able to find the original baggage claim sign where folks would come into the lobby area and check their baggage and then go on to the trains. Also on the far right corner, on the bottom picture, that is an original women's restroom sign to the building. One of the things that we didn't know that was there were these beautiful arches that go above all the entryways. There's also an archway above the 2 trains tunnel, which we'll see in the next photo. And then on your top left is a pretty good shot of the rotunda after they took the second floor, the steel structure out, and it opened up that top ceiling.
In the upper left, you'll see that ceiling with the green in the far back portion was all covered by a drop ceiling too. We never did get to see that structure when we were walking through the train station before it was renovated, and that's a very, very nice ornamental ceiling in the back, which was very pleasing to find in good condition.
Okay, and you'll see these are additional photographs of the rotunda ceiling. The far right bottom corner, that is the actual rotunda cupola that sits above the building. That was also, and we had a false ceiling underneath that, and you couldn't see it from the second floor. So that's all been taken out. The top right photograph, you can barely make out the letters on that signage, but it does say 2 trains. That's the tunnel that we opened up and discovered that, it was filled with some unquestionable materials.
And we'll go over that too shortly.
But the good finding was that the original sign was there. We had the architectural arch that kind of brings the eye up to that ornamental ceiling. Additional photographs of that ceiling. You can tell that I was kind of excited when we found it. It's beautiful to look at. It's in pretty good shape. It's in better shape than what the architect originally thought. So I'm hopeful that in our next phase we'll be able to bring this room back to its original beauty.
Well, Commissioners, some of the things that we had to do, and Karen spoke to it just briefly, was clean out the tunnels. If you remember the tunnels, especially the ones that were behind the office area, were full of what we thought was fly ash at the time, which subsequently turned into light-grade concrete. They pretty much went in there to take it out with shovels and had to go back in with jackhammers to remove that. Now this is the before picture on the upper portion of where the tunnel area was closed off, and if I remember right, Commissioner Blair's first typewriter was sitting in the corner over there.
That's
on the right
not
side.
really true. That's a rumor.
I think we still have the typewriter for you. Back up one more time, Karen.
Good. I need it.
You can see the lower left photo is with that office removed, to give you a point of reference. And you can see that we didn't even realize that those archways were above the tunnel, and they're actually in very fine condition for restoration. The lower right tunnel is the one that Sherrod Brown stood in shortly before his wedding. He was going into Cleveland, and then he was going to take the train by and look out and see the train stations went by. So he spent some time in that tunnel. I just want to
Maybe we
make that
could
point
name it
for
the Brown Tunnel.
I do have a photograph of that.
We could have it engraved right over the arch if we receive
For a
some
small
additional
fee.
funding. Okay, Karen. Tunnel excavation, Phil was originally thought to be fly ash, was actually low-grade mortar, removing wall finishes and sealing during the excavation, and Norfolk Southern, the north wall and tunnel ownership has become an issue, and the tunnel stability and water issue. Let me speak to this, and I will try to be brief. We're taking on water in the tunnels. We have water infiltration. We knew we had some of it because of the one open tunnel. We need to solve that problem. It's going to be difficult to solve because we need to get up on top of the right-of-way with Norfolk Southern and come down the inside of the retaining wall, and we're working on that right now. The north wall and tunnel ownership. Well, we say north wall. I wish we said we had a north wall to the building. We don't. The actual retaining wall is the back wall of the train station, and ownership and maintenance of that wall has been called into question with regards to what we can do and what we can't do. There is a expansion joint at the top of the building between the retaining wall and the building that separates the two for vibration purposes and so forth, but there is no actual back wall to that building. We have to work with Norfolk Southern because we do need to do maintenance on drainage tile, and we do need to decide what we're going to do with these tunnels. When we purchased the building back in 2000, we thought we were purchasing the building and the tunnels. One of the tunnels was open, it was storage, it was being leased out to a garage to do renovations on vehicles. And we got to thinking about 2002 when we were in a project meeting about contacting somebody to, because we had never seen them out to look over the tunnels for the condition they're in, and there's a lot of freight that goes over those tunnels. That's a very active rail line up there. And I remember somebody looking up, I forget who the expert at the time was, but it was a different team, they're saying, yeah, I'm really surprised you have those tunnels. And I said, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, normally you wouldn't have those tunnels, and when they abandoned the train station, they would have backfilled and closed them off completely, so that they didn't have a problem with potentially a cave-in or structural issues. Well, that got us to thinking some more. And we went back and took a look, and those tunnels were supposed to be closed in 1952. They were supposed to be actually backfilled and bricked up and closed and completely abandoned, and they weren't. And we're not sure now who has ownership of those tunnels. So we're working on that issue right now. It doesn't really impede the progress of the project. It doesn't hinder what we're doing right now, but it will hinder the potential for having rail service, because those tunnels are necessary to be able to provide rail service. It's not impossible to be able to provide rail service without them, but it would never ever be cost effective because of the height of the grade of the track behind the train station. You have to come up through the tunnels with an elevator and come to the middle of the tracks to be able to put platforms in and then to access rail service. So one way or another, those tunnels need to stay open and they need to be renovated, and we need to maintain some right-of-ways in those tunnels. I think our worthy council is working with Norfolk Southern on a regular basis. Is that correct, Mr. Anderson, on that issue? So while we've run into some intermittent, okay. While we've run into some impediments here, it's not stopping the progress of the project. And we're years away from being able to get enough funding to have rail service regardless. So the project is progressing, but I need to make you aware of that. And I'm not sure if the new board was aware of that, but that issue had been communicated to prior commissioners. But we're still an ongoing issue. Greg, go to the next slide. We needed to repair exterior masonry, remove, replace missing mortar, secure loose brick, remove, replace missing brick, rebuild parapet wall, and clean brick and sandstone. We're going to show you some pictures of that. Karen, why don't you speak to I'll speak to, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, what you're seeing is the existing condition of the exterior. If you look at the bottom right photograph, far right-hand side of that photograph, where the garage door is, you'll see where the black tarp is pulled over the east wall of the building. Underneath that tarp, there was no brick. So Jim will talk to you about that a little later. As we go through these photos, you'll see some of the beautiful architectural sandstone carvings that we have. And also, the top right is the old loading dock area. If you go by today, They've recently put up what I call faux doors and windows to actually make this area look a little bit more attractive as a way to get us from phase one into our next phase and at least have an attractive looking building on the outside. Here are some existing conditions where you can see the huge gaps in our sandstone cornice. You can also see how our sandstone cornice is kind of doing a little tip. And Jim will talk to you about that a little bit later also. And you can see where the missing mortar is and how the building has shifted over the years. These are issues that needed to be addressed in our exterior masonry phase, which is ongoing. They were able to do a lot of work this past year because we did have a lot of good weather. We have since stopped working because it's too cold. We have to have, I think it's 40 degrees and rising in order for them to do good brickwork. Here you can see some of the brickwork activities taking place. That top right-hand picture, that is a huge piece of sandstone on top of that chimney. And then down right below that is more of the cornice stone that we talked about. The sandstone was in such bad condition there that they had to be removed and replaced. So the entire chimney was reworked and is now waiting for the sandstone to come in from the quarry.
Okay, some of the exterior work that we had to do after you saw those pictures was to reattach sandstone cornices, as Karen indicated, rebuild the parapet walls and missing east wall brick. We spent a considerable amount of money twice trying to stabilize that east wall. I think the last time we did it, this was the board that authorized that stability, and what we did is we actually had to take the parapet wall down and wrap the top of it because we were taking too much water intrusion into the building through that wall. Over the years, the pounding that this building has taken from the freight trains going by there has been significant. There was significant problems with the brickwork. You saw I called it a chimney, I'm not quite sure what it was, a stack up there. If we had not started this project this year, there was every indication that may have been laying on the roof by next year. So we've encountered more problems than we anticipated with the brickwork. The biggest problem was that the brick was, especially the cornerstones, were not attached to the building properly. When the building was constructed, and we do have the original drawings, there was certain tiebacks and holdbacks, I don't know if I have the terminology completely correct, that actually attached the brickwork to the building. Of course, most people don't know most of the brickwork is not structural, it's a curtain wall. And that wasn't done properly. So the tipping in the walls and the bowing of the walls, especially the one on the east wall, was caused because of the vibration of trains, but mainly because it wasn't attached to the inner structural wall properly, which didn't give it any real foundation. For lack of another term, the wall was just standing there on its own next to another wall. So we had to go back, and we did come to this board, and you did authorize a change order of about $122,000 a couple months ago, because we had to do additional work to stabilize those walls to the main structure of the building. And there's some more pictures that Karen has put up there of some of the existing masonry problems. We've had a massive amount of work on the brickwork. I will tell you that I'm glad that we did start phase one this year, because I'm not quite sure that we could have seen another year or two without a lot of this brickwork just completely coming apart. We have the roof installation, remove existing built-up roof and insulation, which I think all the commissioners have walked that roof one time or another. You saw all that insulation up there and years of putting stuff on materials on top of materials. Furnish and install the installation, furnish and install new drains, removing cap skylights. They're going to be restored, removing cap monitors to be restored, and remove and scrap the rooftop units. Back up a second, Karen. I want to explain the monitors. Those are those large boxes on top of the roof that have all the window panels in them. There was thought about removing them, but we have since decided that having that built into the inside renovation will give a nice motif look to the inside and keep a historical perspective of the building. And of course, there was multiple rooftops and old HVAC that were laying around that roof for years and years, and they all had to be removed. We furnished and installed modified build-up roof system, 2-ply roofing felt, 1-ply modified membrane. Furnish and install copper roof panels. This is a big one, and this is where we get into our 106 with the Historical Society. The copper greening up, looking really nice up there, and those are things that we're going to have to do by 106 requirements. The exterior cupola will be skinned in copper panels. Right now, they have build-up roof materials coming up the side of those, and all that needs to be removed, and that needs to be returned to having copper. And of course, that's quite expensive, like anything else that you're going to restore. But this is a 30-year warranty on this roof. This is not an EPDM roof. This is a roof that is structurally stronger and will give us more years of service. As the commissioners know, we've put many EPDM roofs on buildings, but they don't really give you the years of service. They're initially less costly to use, but down the road, you're just not getting the amount of years that you really need. And I think that we're probably going to be moving away from those EPDM roofs as we can afford to do something a little bit different. And with this roof, we took a different approach because we didn't want to have to come back in 10 or 12 years and have these issues.
Another thing you didn't mention, Jim, is that we have the ability to walk on this roof as opposed to the EPDM roof.
Right, that was another thing that we did talk about early on. We thought one of the attractions to the public for open houses and events that I know will take place was to be able to walk out on the roof and watch the trains go by. EPDM roofs are almost impossible to stabilize enough for foot traffic. Every time we've been down at the train station and we've had a group go by there, as soon as the train goes by, everybody runs upstairs and runs out on the roof to watch the train go by. So we thought that would be an attractive option also.
Okay, here we have some existing roof conditions. I just took that right from you, didn't I?
That's okay.
Jim was talking about the copper and the cupola. If you look at the two top photos, that greenish tint, that is your copper that's existing, and it already has its patina on it, and that patina will stay. They're going to clean it but leave the patina. The black portion that you see that runs up to the window, that is where the copper panels are going to go. So they have to remove that existing roof, put in the copper panels.
Now that's all of that built-up roof on the lower area there that you're looking at. So that's an extensive amount of copper that needs to be provided.
The bottom two photographs, those, the one on the left, I believe, is the conveyor, the freight conveyor, and then the one on the right is one of the monitors.
Now you can see on the one on the lower right, the monitor there, that they took the built-up roof and they actually brought it up to the cap, the concrete cap, and covered all the windows structurally. So all that needs to be removed, and I think they're actually going to remove the monitor and rebuild it as part of the construction of the project. You can see which, I'm not going to read it to you, the roof condition. We had a problem with the roof slab, and what happened was the roof has 3 slabs. You have a structural slab, which is what you see from the inside. On top of that, they laid a coarse grade aggregate to put a slope to the roof, and then they laid another slab of concrete on top of the aggregate. We did do roof boring samples as part of the project, and the samples came back that indicated that we could probably put a new roof on. But that wasn't the case. Once we opened the roof, we had some problems with the roof. You can see from the photos that are there, they cut out some big patches of the roof, only to find that the top slab was structurally unsound. It's spalling badly, it's badly cracked, and the aggregate underneath that slab has shifted to the point where it no longer is stabilizing the top slab, and we're not getting the slope that we need. So, here's another one of those problems that's going to cost additional money, and we need to remove the upper slab and all the coarse aggregate. Then we need to reinstall structural insulation panels, and similar to what we did on the Justice Center, because we used those copper panels on the Justice Center, and get the grading of the slope on the roof from those structural insulation panels before we apply roofing material. So, I mean, we're uncovering a lot of problems as we go along, Commissioners, but we have no choice in this. We cannot attach a roof right now to the existing structure. There's some cost data on the initial phase one, $1.424 million. Okay, what we have after phase one is an exterior building is watertight. The interior is ready to receive new finishes and fit out and improvements. Phase 2 work, which is something that we're preparing to recommend to the board that we begin. It's to fit out the interior first and second floors, do the electrical, the machinery, the plumbing, water lines, sanitary lines. We have to modify some of the walls because there's been doors put in for various reasons to use the building for different purposes. We need to fit out an elevator, and we need to do the tunnel infrastructure work. The rotunda, which I think is the most significant part of the whole project, needs to be restored. It's quite expensive to do the wall and the terrazzo floors, but we think it needs to be incorporated into Phase 2. Here's where we ran into some challenges. You can see from the figures that we had there, we came up $358,000, well, let's call it $359,000 short in order to do Phase 2. So we had to go back to the drawing board and make a couple adjustments to the project. The adjustments were to reduce the exterior landscaping, including planter beds and curbs, which we can always do later on. We wanted to bid the pavement on the south side as an alternate. The pavement is where the loading dock is right now. Again, we can do it as an alternate. It doesn't necessarily have to be done now. Aesthetically, I'd like to see it done, but it can be done later. And instead of putting the elevator in, we're probably going to recommend that we put the shaft work in, and then we can put the elevator at a future date when we receive additional support from Senator Brown.
Leon woke up when you said that.
I just thought I'd throw it a couple plugs in, here a little bit.
He's never going to come here again.
I was waiting for it.
And we're going to eliminate one of the skylights over the restrooms. The adjustment to Phase 2 would also include bidding certain things as alternates to see if we can get competitive bids, the lighting protection, the parking site lighting, and stubbing power for the future exterior work. We had been going to do all the wiring and bring all the services to the south wall for the Phase 3 and 4 of the projects. Right now, we'll probably just recommend putting the conduit in, and then we can pull cable through the conduit at some future date, and it'll have some savings. We believe that those changes will save about $400,000. Therefore, we should be able to complete modified Phase 2 under our budget right now, and still have about $41,000. I wouldn't count on having that $41,000 though after we get going. We have a lot of unforeseen conditions that we've been running into.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Just trying to move it along.
Now, Commissioners, if we get competitive bids, we may be able to add most of that back, but we don't want them in the bid package that we get bids that we can't accept because we don't have funding. So we're going to bid those alternatives. Let me give you a visualization of what you get after Phase 2, so that we have a complete understanding of what this all means. The upper floor space was originally supposed to be completed out in Phase 2. That's the area off the roof. And includes some rooms that go around behind the back of the upper end of the rotunda. Because the steel floor is out now, we don't have that second story, but you still have that second story space behind the south side of the rotunda, which is what we call the front of the station. Everybody calls that the front of the train station. That will be shelled.
That will be what, please?
Shelled. It'll be, the demo work will be done. We'll put it into a condition where it won't have any problems with deterioration, but it won't be finished workspace that we can use at this point. That also means you won't have the elevator going up to that second floor, but we will put the shaft in because structurally we need to build that shaft in now. Surprising to me, elevators come as a construction kit. They actually, the shaft is there, they can actually build it and put it right in the shaft. You don't have to open the roof and drop it in. So it can be constructed now, and then we can order an elevator in a box later and have it installed. You also will not be getting things like marble in the restrooms. That can be done later on. We'll have it finished in a fashion where if we receive additional support, that we can go back later and do a historical retrofit of those facilities later on. Most of the exterior things that were eliminated are cosmetics that, again, can be added at subsequent dates and times. Karen, I just want to make sure that I've given them the correct visualization on what we're receiving.
Yes.
Okay, so you will have the downstairs space for transit completed. You will have the rotunda area restored and completed. There's some retail space that we had hoped to rent that's going to be where the current loading dock is right now. That space will also be shelled.
Correct.
And later on, if we receive additional funding and/or have people that would like to lease that space and occupy it, we can look at options for building that space out at that time. The goal here was to get through phase 2 and deliver a building that was usable to the public. We always knew that we were going to be challenged with funding for the remainder of the project, which I'm going to run through right now. But we have to deliver something to the public for the expenditure of these funds, and that will be the building completed and inhabitable by our transit department and a huge civic and meeting room area in the rotunda portion of the building. Okay, well, I just explained that, so go ahead. Phase 3, new entry, patio complete with ramps, stairs, canopy, walkway, sidewalks. This is all the really nice to look at stuff, and we'll show you a drawing. It's the parking area. Here's where Leon comes in. Leon, I need $1.4 million to begin phase 3, and since
We
I
have
think
a special Leon file.
we have a special Leon file now. He's never coming back. And thanks for going to that slide, Karen. This is what we want to do. You can see the building in the left-hand portion of the drawing. Everything that you see to the right, which would be going east along the retaining wall for the train station, is what we want to do in the next phase, which we do not have funding for right now. So hopefully we'll be able to access some funding. Just so you know, Sherrod has already helped us achieve over $3 million worth of funding for this project. So I think he's very well been committed to the project, and I'm hopefully that he'll be able to gain some additional support for us. The $1.4 million will allow us to finish that portion and then have transit operating completely as a hub out of that facility. And we're also going to be looking at possibly getting some NOACA money for that. So that would finish phase 3 at 1.4. And phase 4 would be the train platforms, the canopy stairs, and elevators up to the train stations. Again, that's going to come through the tunnels if we get that issue resolved. We need $1.3 million to do that. Leon, just for the math, that's 2.7. Sorry. So we need an additional, I would say an additional $3 million to completely finish the project. But after phase 2, we will definitely have a building that has been historically restored. We'll have a deliverable. We'll be able to use it. But I would say that we actually really need the additional 1.3 to complete the projects, that building and the associated parking lot. The train platforms are always going to be a challenge. We always knew that. We were never always comfortable that we were going to be able to get train service into the facility. And I will tell you that I have met with Amtrak early in the project 3 or 4 times, and they have less money than we do. While they're cooperative and they want to do it and they want to have train service there, they just don't want to put any money into the project. So we have discussed that with them.
Give us time. The president of Amtrak is an Amherst resident.
Well, that's a comforting thought. Hopefully he has a wallet with him too, because we could use some economic support from Amtrak because it's very expensive up on those platforms. Commissioners, if you have any questions, you can see that after phase 2 we'll have spent about $4.5 million. Historical renovations of structures that were in this condition are never easy, and they're never inexpensive. And I can only tell you that we've been very frugal with the way we've managed the money on the project and the way we've I want to say juggled the funding we've had to get to this point. You know, it always seems like an extraordinary amount of money to spend on this project, but historical buildings tend to cost significantly amount more than new construction to renovate. I'm open to any questions or any additional thoughts on what we want to do.
Commissioners?
I have no questions, just want to thank you once again for all your hard work. I know that this was not your favorite project, and I hope you enjoyed your Christmas present.
Just for a point of reference, so people understand, because I was grousing about the project, Commissioner Boyd gave me a picture of the train station for a Christmas present. Nicely framed to put on my wall to remind me that that's what she wants done.
Nice job, guys.
Thank you. Commissioner, I want to say one more thing to you. In order to go into Phase 2, we're going to have to petition the FTA for something that's called a letter of no prejudice. What that means is that we want to spend future money now on the project. There's a couple risky things with that. First, when we do a letter of no prejudice, we're indicating that we'll follow all federal guidelines and meet all their requirements. If we should fail to do that, they won't reimburse us in future years. That's number one. Number two, you can see that we have 08 and 09 money up there. That was the last money that Sherrod Brown was able to achieve for us. If we spend that in 07 in Phase 2, and the federal government doesn't appropriate money to those line items or those earmarks, we're not going to get reimbursed. Now, you can either decide to take those risks and deal with that now, or we're going to have to wait until 09 to do Phase 2. It's going to be the choice of the board. What you potentially have at risk is about $900,000 there. I'm comfortable that we'll meet all the federal guidelines. We're working under them right now under Phase 1. We have a good working relationship with the FTA in Chicago. We're probably going to go back in late March to meet with them to have that personal meeting again. We drove up the last time, and we haven't been there in about a year and a half, and we need to do that again. So I'm comfortable that we can stay within the federal guidelines without any problems. I'm not even going to suggest what will happen with how the federal government's going to fund these appropriations, especially since this area of the federal spending bill has been tumultuous at times with support from both the Congress and the Senate. So I need to make you aware of that.
I don't think we're in a position to gamble with $900,000 of general fund money.
Well, I'm not suggesting that it's a gamble. I just need to point out the potentiality. Phase 1 needed to be done in the building. There was no way we could wait 2 or 3 more years. It was actually raining in the building, and the roofs were falling in. So regardless of how we timed the project, we definitely needed to do Phase 1 of the building to have the potential of doing any additional work on this project in the subsequent years. So I'm comfortable that Phase 1 had to be done. How we proceed from here, because of the way the revenue streams are, is up to the board. You can wait. You can fund it with an advance. We could actually do a bond issue. We can do a construction note. Or we can wait until 2009 to go back to the project and go into Phase 2.
When do we need to make decisions on this for construction season, Jim?
Well, Commissioners, I'm not going to ask you for a decision immediately today.
That's a good thing.
That would absolutely make people upset at me, and I have you upset at me over much more significant issues all the time. So I wanted to inform you of this, and I do want to discuss it, but I would like to get going sometime and in the next couple of weeks, as you indicated, with the construction season and getting all the bids and the documents and getting queued up is going to take some time. It's not completely urgent. A lot of this is interior work, so we're not going to be held up by the weather as we progress forward. But we do need to make some decisions on this because we have earmarks out there, and I believe that we spent the oldest one, so I'm not too concerned right now about the older earmarks. But the longer those earmarks sit without work, the more chance we have of those earmarks being moved someplace else.
Reassigned. There was issues like that at NOACA. Well, can we have some discussion with our new senator who's there for 6 years to make sure that we will continue to get our appropriation and additional funds, Leon?
Yes, I will.
I'm also meeting with Betty Sutton's folks very shortly, bring them up to speed on the project and ask for additional congressional support for the project. And we're going to be going back to NOACA, but Commissioner Cahill, you and Commissioner Blair have been going to NOACA, Commissioner Blair, for a decade or longer, and you know that it takes, pardon me, sir?
Long.
A lifetime.
You know as well as I do, it takes 2 or 3 years to queue up at NOACA for funding. We were very fortunate the last time to get the $600,000 to support the project that we did, and then we kind of bent their wrist a little bit to allow us to move it from the exterior portion to the interior portion of the building, because they really wanted us to do the parking lot with their funding, and we convinced them that we need to do other work with that funding. They weren't completely happy, but they did become agreeable. So that's where we're at. I know it's been some time since we talked about this project. I'm very comfortable that the project is producing results, but there are some additional hurdles that need to overcome, and I think that we needed to present this publicly to you.
Do you know at this time what kind of NOACA funds you're going to be applying for?
Commissioner, I'll apply for anything that we're eligible for.
That's one way to not answer the question. Do you know with specificity?
No, I do not know with
Okay.
specificity.
When you determine, will you let me know?
I was actually going to ask our NOACA representatives what funds we're eligible for. I don't go to NOACA.
Call Howard.
Okay, I certainly will do that. Any other questions? Sorry it was a little lengthy, but it's a big project, and we haven't talked about it in a while. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I would like to add one more comment, just as a word of caution. The numbers that we have put together in here, these are based on '07 construction costs. So.
No escalating fees, no
we're-
contingency?
Whatever decision that's made, we'll have to adjust the budget based on that decision.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks, guys.
Resolutions?
Can we move on?
Resolutions?
Number 1, Job and Family Services bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Question, just a question or a comment. There's purchase order number 325-07 for $12,000. I have spoken to Tony and Commissioner Kalo's office. I want to make sure that that $12,000, which is for the mailer, for the dog licenses, also includes
What happened?
also includes the mailing of the insert that we're coming from our commissioner's office. I just want to make sure that that is part of it. It didn't, to me, it didn't indicate that on the purchase order, and I read it top to bottom. So I just want to make sure.
It does include the insert.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
I believe Jim needs to turn these things on for him.
I'm working on
Got
it.
okay, just let you know, travel expenses.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair. Ms.
Aye.
Kowski.
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Corday?
I do have a number of potential new hires at Golden Acres on the personnel sheet. I think that just personnel will be the only thing that I need to discuss with the board today. If I look through my folder, I may revise that under my comments. Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the same for Lorain County Board of Commissioners minutes for January 25th, 2007.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Increased salary and longevity of Alan D. Wack, bailiff for the city of Elyria at a biweekly rate to $781.80, reflecting the county's 2/5 share effective retroactive to July 23rd, 2006.
So moved.
Second with a question. In our packet, it wasn't talking about a salary increase, it was talking about a buyout of,
That's not done yet. We're still looking at it.
what do you mean?
I talked to Mr. Cortez the other day about the buyout back program. That's not what's here. I mean, we do have to give him the increase, though.
What was the?
On Alan Wax.
Al Wack.
The
Yes.
buyback time that we had discussed.
Yes.
Because there wasn't anything about a salary
Yeah.
increase, it was just all about a buyback for vacation and longevity.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Commissioner, this has been, I don't want to call it, a battle, but it's been an on-again, off-again exchange. I spent a year debating with Lorain when you were a council person over a lot of these issues with the city of Lorain. A lot of people don't give the city of Lorain the credit for being the first one to find some additional ability to get some revenue from somebody else. They're pretty good at it. So not to talk bad about them, but usually it's the city of Lorain that I've had most of my dealings with. We have to pay these things. It's unfortunate, but it's a form of compensation. And similar, it's just like having two bailiffs in the cities. We kind of argued that out a couple years ago. My reading of the code, it says a bailiff. It doesn't say bailiffs. It says a bailiff. But that has been interpreted to mean a bailiff for each judge. And so we've lost that battle. And Jerry, we've paid these before. We've reimbursed them because it is part of the compensation package. And my understanding from past rulings is we're required to do so.
That's correct, Jim. The philosophy behind this is that the prosecution of even state cases under state codes actually starts in municipal court. And so this is kind of paying the beginning stage of that whole process.
Okay.
So
Thank
that
you.
means we have to pay it, right?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Under Community Development Department, approve and enter into contract between Lorain County Community Alliance, setting forth the terms of the relationship to provide administrative coordinator services with the Community Development Department to help building vitality and membership of the council of governments containing a 60-day cancellation clause.
Mr. Chairman, Jerry Ennis has refined the contract that was presented to the Alliance. I've given you and Commissioner Kokoski a copy.
I have it.
Oh, there it is. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to let you know.
Oh, okay.
So he's gone over it with a fine-tooth comb, and it's acceptable to him in its present form. Is that correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay.
Would you like to make the motion
I'll
then?
move for approval.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Instruct the clerk to advertise for the first public hearing for the FY07 CDBG programs. Said notice will be in the Journal on February 12th and 19th, and hearing to be held on the March 1st at 10 a.m.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Under Clerk Courts, authorize Ronald Nabokowski, Lorain County Clerk Courts, to utilize the county's Lower Met Visa credit card not to exceed $1,500 for the year 2007 for the purchase of gas, oil, emergency purchases, and maintenance of county-owned or leased vehicles and work-related expenses to include food, transportation, conferences, lodging, telephone, and internet service provider expenses in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 301.27.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under the Sheriff, approve and enter into 3 one-year service agreements with B&C Communications for the annual rate of $4,035.60 for portable radios used both by Road Patrol and Corrections Division. There are 54 radios used by the Corrections and 60 by the Road Patrol, and jail tax levy funds can be used to pay for 40% of the annual maintenance cost to be paid from contract services account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Under Soil and Water, approve and enter into lease agreement with Soil and Water Conservation District for finished office rental space of 2,046 feet at Lorain County Agricultural Service Center at 42110 Russia Road, Elyria. Lease is effective retroactive January 25th, 2007 to January 24th, 2008, at a total annual rental of $21,605.76, based on $10.56 per square foot determined by DMG Maximus.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Question, there was some issues with lawn mowing and things of that nature. Has that been resolved?
Yes, Commissioner, everything with the contract, to the best of my knowledge, at this point has been resolved. And normally, the care of the exterior lands over there was taken care of by the county engineer. He's been very gracious to take care of that. So I don't think there's any issues and if there are any issues, I'm sure we can work through them.
Okay.
Nancy
I was gonna
Fanai
say-
and Mr. Abraham are here from the Soil and Water if you
Did
have
you
any
have
questions.
anything, did you, what?
Thank you.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under TB Clinic, request of the Lorain County Auditor pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 5705.10, Chapter 339, certified to Lorain County Board of Commissioners, the total current tax valuation of the county and the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated for 5 years for the TB Clinic 4. We'll have 3 separate certifications. One is .2 mills renewal levy, .15 mils replacement and decrease, and .1 mil replacement and decrease.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Jim, do you have any information regarding this? This was added on at the last minute, wasn't it?
Kathy
Yes,
Horvath,
this,
back.
the TB clinic has been in operation for a number of years. I didn't really do a lot of research on this because right now they're just asking for the certification. I know they have to come back to the board again. So if you'd like to let me know later on what you'd like to see, I'll make sure that you get a packet of information. I will tell you this was a topic of much discussion the last time it was put on before the commissioners, and there was some thinking back then. So we can certainly have that discussion.
Okay.
Well, I have indicated to her that she'll have to be present next week, because next week is the final deadline before I have to go to the Board of Elections, so.
Okay.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Cordes, County Administrator?
Commissioners, the banging that you were hearing during the earlier presentations that sent somebody up to have stopped was the beginning process of getting ready for our outreach center with the college. So that's another initiative that I'll be bringing before you in the next 2 or 3 weeks, where we had to renovate that room. So we're doing most of the demo work right now, but I'll be showing you the progress we made and asking you to move forward with that project too. So there's a lot of initiatives underway, and next week you're going to see the one with Public Service Institute, and the training opportunities are going to be here available within this building. I don't want to speak too much about it because we're going to have a presentation with PSI next week, but you have a lot of things going on. But I'm sorry about the banging there. I'm holding up progress just a wee bit until the meeting's over. Thank you.
Mr. Ernest, Assistant County Prosecutor?
Chairman Kalo, I just want you to know that I have a late slip from Commissioner Blair.
Oh, okay, all right.
I was preparing
Don't
this
want him to be
contract.
in trouble.
I believe Mr. Flanagan wants to discuss a pending litigation matter, and I have to discuss an imminent
It's
not
current.
imminent?
pending litigation, and I have to discuss an imminent litigation issue with the commissioners in executive session.
Commissioners report.
I just wanted to remind anybody that might be utilizing that, the new prescription drug to quit smoking, since it's not covered by our insurance, just a reminder to use that 20% off drug card that the county offers, so that if you do get the reimbursement, it's not going to cost the county quite as much. So that's all.
Did you try that yet?
No, but you're supposed to pick a quit date, and my birthday's coming up, so that's going to be my quit date.
It's going to be her 40th birthday for
Again.
the 3rd year in a row.
I love
That's
it.
So is it that date or after your function?
Probably that date. My birthday's actually on the 18th, so it's going to be a birthday present to myself, hopefully.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a news release for both the Chronicle and the Journal. I'm sharing it with anybody who's interested. This is from Ken Prendergast, All Aboard Ohio. At its regular meeting Monday, Cleveland City Council unanimously passed a resolution calling on the Ohio congressional delegation to provide $1.5 million in each of the next 2 federal fiscal years for an alternatives analysis of potential transportation improvements in the West Shore Corridor. Councilman Kevin Kelly hosted one of the commuter rail meetings that was hosted after the Lorain County Community Alliance heard a presentation from Prendergast last year. So I'd like to say that we're responsible for regenerating the discussion, and after that, we've had 1, 2, 3, at least 4 or 5 meetings talking about commuter rail, and it looks like some people are really serious about it, so I'm pretty excited about that. And next week, this delegation is going to talk to Governor Strickland's Ohio Department of Development person in Cleveland to see if we can hit all sides for money. Thank you.
Very good, Commissioner. Short report this week. Had an opportunity to meet the new director of the Premier Soccer Academy that's coming to Lorain, and was able to take a tour of the building. It's shaping up quite nice, and they're putting a very nice program together for local children in soccer.
The investment meeting today has been canceled and rescheduled to March 8th at 11 a.m. And then Commissioners will have an executive session at 12 o'clock today with Mr. Flanagan. And then also I need approval to receive and journalize an expedited one annexation petition for 4.67 acres from Pittsfield Township to the City of Oberlin. Attorney Paul Blevins, agent for the petitioners Elizabeth J. Burgess and John A. McNauer. And it will be on the Commissioners' agenda next Thursday. I need a motion to accept it first.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Board
Move.
correspondence.
Move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Public comment.
You're back.
I'm back. Shirley R. Johnson, Oberlin. I just want to refer you to correspondence number 3 from Brighton Township. Is that explanation going to be the same as it was last week when you had a correspondence from New Russia Township on the same matter? Is the explanation...
It's exactly the same.
Right.
It's the same letter, same, not cutting road patrols, just the fact that if an inmate has to go to the hospital, they have to pull a road patrol officer off the street to guard that individual.
So that it's the same explanation?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Anyone else? Motion to move into executive session is outlined.
Second.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.
In 1787, the Continental Congress organized the lands from the Ohio River to the Mississippi into the Northwest Territories. In 1803, the first of these territories to become a state was Ohio. Ohio was in turn divided into various land grants, including the Connecticut Western Reserve in the northeast corner of the state. The Western Reserve included the area that is today Lorain County. As Ohio gradually increased its counties to the present 88, the land we know as Lorain County went through several changes. Until 1810, the area was split between Geauga and Portage counties. When the area was being organized into Lorain County in 1822, it was created out of land from Huron, Cuyahoga, and Medina counties. At the time of its birth, Lorain County included Olmsted Township, now in Cuyahoga County, Spencer and Homer Townships, now in Medina County, and Troy and Sullivan Townships, now in Ashland County. This map illustrates the county as it appeared at the time of Ohio's centennial, and although some of the townships have been absorbed by incorporation, it also represents the shape of Lorain County today. Let's take a brief historical look at each of Lorain County's 21 townships. In 1807, the Calvin Hoadley and Herman Bronson families of Waterbury, Connecticut, began the settlement of Columbia. After a 3-month trek, the pioneers arrived in their new homeland in time to celebrate Christmas. The Bronsons, including their 7-month-old son, began that winter sheltered by their overturned bobsled wagon, converted into a frontier lean-to. The mouth of the Black River also saw the beginning of its first settlement in 1807, when Azariah Beebe established a trading post for Nathan Perry. This area, which 20 years earlier had seen a short-lived Moravian mission, would gradually grow into the village of Charleston in the township called Black River. Years later, this township would be removed from county maps because of the incorporation of the city of Lorain. Charleston adopted the county's name of Lorain when the city was incorporated in 1874. The dramatic growth of the city was spurred on by the expanding fishing and shipbuilding industries. In 1894, when Tom Johnson brought his steel mill to town, Lorain's destiny to be the county's largest city was assured. In 1813, the township of Ridgeville was officially organized. 3 years earlier, members of the Beebe, Terrell, and Root families had established this new settlement they called Rootstown. The change to Ridgeville was decided upon to indicate the sand ridges that passed through the area and provided transportation routes and fertile farmland. The area around the intersection of Butternut Ridge and Roots Road, first called Briggs Corner, was by 1880 known as Fields Corners and was the site of the town's water well. With the growth of the city of North Ridgeville, the township of Ridgeville was incorporated out of existence. In 1810, Silas Wilmot, along with Asa and Ira Morgan, erected a cabin on Butternut Ridge, and the community later called Eaton Township was begun. Wilmot married Chloe Hubbard of Ashtabula, and they were given the cabin, thereby becoming the township's pioneering couple. When Ridgeville Township was organized in 1813, it included Eaton, which was at that time called Holbrook. While the area was still a part of Cuyahoga County, the township of Eaton was separated from Ridgeville. Its first officers were elected in 1823, while the township was in transition to the new Lorain County. Amherst's township's founding can be traced to one Jacob Shoup. After first settling on the Black River, he moved in 1811 to the Beaver Creek. By 1815, he had erected a grist mill and the area's first distillery. Whiskeyville, today the intersection of Routes 58 and 113, earned its nickname as a center for the production of this important pioneer commodity. As the primary community of the township developed at the Old Spring, it came to be known as Amherst Corners. By 1836, the name Amherstville was recorded in the county offices, and in 1873, the town was incorporated as North Amherst. In 1909, the U.S. Postal Service had to choose between the villages of North and South Amherst. They chose the former, which then became the official and present-day Amherst. In 1917, in the northeast corner of the county, the township of Avon became another of Lorain County's 21 townships to vanish due to city incorporation. In 1814, Wilbur Cahoon had arrived from Montgomery County, New York, to become the first to settle in what was then Troy Township of Cuyahoga County. The farming community grew around its power source, the French Creek. Development along the interurban line would incorporate the northern part of the township into the city of Avon Lake in 1911, with the remainder of the township becoming the village of Avon in 1917. It was families such as the Burrell, Day, and Roots who established themselves in the Sheffield area in 1815 and 16. The township of Sheffield would not actually be created until 1824, when the newly elected Lorain County Commissioners made the township one of the first acts of their administration. The land had been primarily in Cuyahoga County prior to the 1822 reorganization. The southwest corner of the township was in Huron County and is today the only place to find a small section still called Sheffield Township. The remainder of the area has been incorporated, like its neighbor Avon, with the north becoming Sheffield Lake and the south the village of Sheffield. In 1816, Colonel Henry Brown of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, purchased a large tract of land known as Number 6, Range 19. Mr. Brown would later name the township after himself by simply adding Helm to his family name. Like the Old Saxon ham, the suffix meant home. The Deacon Shepherd family were the first settlers when they arrived on July 4, 1817. The village of Brownhelm Mills, located in Benjamin Bacon's Mill Hollow, was one of 3 communities to develop. Bacon's Corners, or the center, was 3 miles east of the hollow. while just west of the hollow was Rugby, where stores, a church, a school, and the post office were located. The first settlers to the Grafton Township area were Jonathan and Grendall Rawson in 1816. 10 years later, the Rawsons were forced to build a grist mill, or forfeit their land under their original agreement with the Western Reserve Land Company. Railroads and quarries were the greatest influence on the growth of the village the locals called Rawsonville. The quarrying industry in particular was responsible for the influx of French-Canadian, Welsh, Irish, Polish, and German immigrants. In 1877, when the village was being incorporated, the name Rawsonville was dropped in favor of the railroad station name of Grafton. Originally a part of Elyria Township, Carlisle was settled in 1816 by John Bacon of Windham County, Vermont. When the new Lorain County was being organized in 1822, Carlisle Township became its own entity. LaPorte developed as the township village with Phineas Johnson as the first postmaster and hotel owner. In 1840, Anson Brayman's Carlisle Nursery became the first of its kind in Lorain County. Quarrying was another important industry of the township, as the sandstone blocks were used for city buildings as far away as Toronto. Founding father Heman Ely owned over 10,000 acres of the land that would be developed into the township of Elyria, and the city which also bears his family name. In 1817, Artemus Beebe headed a work crew that came to establish a new village at the Y of the Black River branches. Mills were constructed and the main street cleared. Beebe's crew also erected a home for Mr. Ely at Broad and East Bridge Streets, and a home for himself across the street, which became the Beebe Tavern. Both structures avoided demolition until well into the 20th century. In 1822, Mr. Ely spearheaded the movement to create Lorain County. He donated the land for the county courthouse, thus influencing the choice of Elyria as the county seat. Mr. Ely's little village would develop into a city with a varied industrial base as well as the center of government for Lorain County. Simon Durand came to America as an interpreter for Revolutionary War hero French General Lafayette. Durand remained in the new nation and in the winter of 1817 moved from New York State to the 160 acres he had purchased south of Brownhelm. 10 years later, the population of the area was enough to support the formation of a new township. With the southern portion ceded to Brighton and the northern portion annexed from Brownhelm, the township of Henrietta was created in 1827. Although New England families represented the majority of settlers to the area in 1818, one of the pioneers was William Welling of Montgomery County, New York. History is not clear if the community was named in honor of Welling or for the famous English Duke of Wellington, hero of Europe's recent Napoleonic Wars. With the coming of the railroad, Wellington grew into an agricultural marketplace, and in fact was the nation's leader in cheese production from 1870 to 1900. The county fair, now located in Wellington, helps to continue the depiction of small-town America shown in native son Archibald Willard's famous painting, The Spirit of '76. In 1818, Joseph Sage and the family of his son-in-law, John Laborie, journeyed through a severe winter from Connecticut to their new homestead in Huntington Township. More pioneering families came to the area, and by 1822, the population was such that the Medina County Commissioners incorporated the township using the Huntington, Connecticut hometown of many of the settlers as its new name. Lumber, grain, and cheese dominated the local economy. In 1824, when Lorain County came into full operation, Huntington was transferred from Medina County. The citizens of Old Russia Township, that had been first settled in 1818, requested detachment from Black River Township in 1825. The town and college of Oberlin were founded in 1833 and would grow to dominate the area. The Oberlin concept combined a Christian community and a Christian coeducational institute. Through the influence of founders John Shippard and Philo Stewart, New York businessman Arthur Tappan, and noted evangelist Charles Finney, the college would become not only co-ed, but also multiracial and the nation's leader in the abolitionist movement. The independent spirit that created the first Russia Township was evident once again in 1992, as New Russia Township detached itself from Oberlin. In 1820, the Peter Penfield family began the permanent settlement of the area he had first selected in the fall of 1818. Penfield Township's organizational election was held in April of 1825. The first religious service was held in 1826, and the first school was in session in the summer of 1829. The township's first post office put the emphasis on post and not the office. As the Penfields lived well off the established mail route, a hollow tree near the river was used by the local residents for sending and receiving the mail. The township, with its fertile soil, grew into a part of Lorain County's rich agricultural heritage. In the fall of 1820, Abner Loveland Jr. became the first permanent settler of Brighton. Within a year, the families of Joseph Kingsbury and Abner Loveland Sr. had arrived, and the new community began to grow. With elections held in the spring of 1823, Brighton Township was being organized at the same time the area was being transferred from Medina to Lorain County. Like much of the new county, Brighton was essentially agricultural. Although Pittsfield's first settlers arrived in 1813, the area was considered too dangerous because of the British and Indian activity connected to the War of 1812. By 1820, the land was surveyed, and Milton Whitney became the owner of a large parcel. Whitney arranged for the Waite brothers of Russia Township to become the first permanent settlers in the spring of 1821. By 1831, there were enough residents to request that the county incorporate a township independent of Wellington. Pittsfield was chosen as the township's name to honor the Massachusetts hometown of many of the area's pioneers. LaGrange Township's first settler was Nathan Clark, who in the fall of 1825 established his new homestead on the east branch of the Black River. By the summer of 1826, 14 more settlers had arrived. The name LaGrange, which is French for the farm, was chosen to honor French General Lafayette, as it was also the name of his country estate. In 1827, the area was separated from Carlisle Township and reorganized with elections in April into the new township of LaGrange. By 1875, the center had grown into a village, also incorporated as LaGrange. The pioneer settler of the Camden area was Leonard Clark. Over the next 4 years, other families moved into the area, including Roswell Babcocks, who built the first frame house in 1833. Early on, the area was divided between Henrietta and Brighton townships. In 1835, the new township of Camden was created by the county commissioners, and the first elections held in April of 1836. When the first post office was established in 1835, the community was called Panelise. The name was changed to Camden, then later to North Camden. In 1852, the Lake Shore and Michigan Southern Railroad called its station Binghamton, but that was soon changed as the town adopted the name Kipton. Kipton's more important connection to the railroad was a tragic collision in 1891. The wreck was instrumental in the creation of standardized or railroad time. Rochester was the last township within the present-day boundaries of Lorain County to be settled. Stephen Babcock brought his family from Massachusetts in the spring of 1832 to settle on land he had prepared the previous year. The area grew quickly, and by 1835, the commissioners formed a new township with the first elections held in April of 1836. The township's farming and related businesses grew with the population. By 1880, close to 700 citizens lived in the area. The population shifted from Rochester Center to Rochester Station when the Big 4 Railroad came through the township. The small-town boom would turn to bust when the railroad eliminated Rochester as a scheduled stop. The depot would be used as a schoolhouse, as the home of the Rochester Rod and Gun Club, and today as the home of the Rochester Historical Society.
There, here, have a treat, okay? No one can deny the loving devotion we get from our dogs, and I think we all agree we get back more love than we give them. I'm Dick Goddard. I'm reminding you, if you share your love with a dog, you'll never regret it. There's really nothing like a dog to spark up your life, whether you're a youngster, a senior citizen, or somewhere in between. And dogs have a whole lot of affection to share. Okay, is that good? You don't have to go far to hear heartwarming adoption stories.
With my husband is like saying man's best friend. He truly loves that dog. He feels it's part human. It's his second daughter, as Erica said. It's definitely a prize. She's queen of the house, basically. She's a good lover. She gives us a lot of attention. She's a good girl.
We had a cat before we had Abby, and Abby adapted very well. She is best friends with that cat. She will not harm that cat in any way. She's amazing. I love her. When I'm in bed at night, Abby will jump up with me and she will pull the covers back and she will lay under the covers and lay her head on the pillow just like a human.
I encourage anyone to go to the Lorain County Kennel to adopt a dog. It's given our family great satisfaction and a great reward.
After, a bad day at work or anytime you come home, it's just always nice. They kind of turn your mood around when you come in the door and they wagging their tails and jumping on you, and it's a great feeling to know that they're happy to see you and that they love you just as much as you love them. She is good with our other dog. She's good with people. She likes attention, and she likes to cuddle up with you.
It's funny when Lily, when you kind of discipline her sometimes when she does something bad, or she always seems to roll on her back and put her paws in the air and just look up at you with a sad look. So it's kind of hard to even get mad at her when she does something like that. So we kind of laugh at that.
And it's always amusing when she does get a spurt of energy and want to run around, and we're always like, oh my gosh, Lily's going to play now.
Yeah,
so
like sometimes, I'm on the couch or whatever, and she'll hop down, and she always tries to bite her own tail, and then that kind of keys on our other dog, Rocky, to chime in and try to, bite at her tail a little bit, and then they start playing around a little bit.
One day we came home with some food from, I just really wanted a burger. So we had a burger and I had it sitting on the tray table by the couch, and I got up for a minute and got a drink, came back, and Lily was licking her lips. She had eaten the whole thing, and I was not very happy with her. So I screamed and told Kurt to come down and get her away from me because I was just so upset. But we both lived, and I was fine afterwards. One of the best things about adopting a dog from the kennel at least for us, was again just giving this dog, who knows what would have happened to her, a new life, and also giving our other dog a companion during the day. It's just fun to have the two dogs and take them for walks and watch them play, and it brought us closer as well.
You know, it just makes you feel better as a person that, you know, you're giving a dog a better chance to live a life.
Actually, I enjoy the exercise because I need to, trying to lose weight. Salem makes me get out of the house every day. And so I have to take him for a walk, even if I don't want to. And he's not that much trouble because he was pretty much housebroken when I got him from the pound. I really like the older pet because Salem was kind of, whoever had him before, they really kind of housebroken. So I didn't really have to go through the potty training deal. I just had to let him out and find a place for him to go. And I think older pets, especially for people who don't have children, are kind of good because Salem, he's real playful, but he's not, he gets tired and he lays down and he doesn't want to be bothered, and that's fine with me. So he's not always wanting to play, you know, because puppies have a lot of energy. And Salem has quite a bit of energy, but sometimes he just lays on his pillow and he's like, don't bother me, I won't bother you. And sometimes when he wants to play, he wants to play, and that's okay. I got Salem at the Lorain County Dog Pound. I found him on the internet, actually. They had his picture on the internet, and so I called and he was still there, and so I immediately went over and looked at him. We went outside and played, and he jumped in the car and wouldn't get out, and there we were. So we were on our way home. So it was love at first sight. He's a very good companion. I can always depend on him to be here and greet me with, you know, open arms when I come in the door. He's very protective of me, and he lets me know when anyone is outside or in the driveway. So I feel safe with Salem. You know, even though he's a small dog, he gives me a safe feeling just in my own home. If I'm having a bad day sometimes and I'm just not in a real good mood, you know, he'll come up and snuggle up to me like, hey Mom, it's okay. I think other people should adopt a pet, and even an older dog. The Lorain County Pound has so many wonderful dogs. All you have to do is go over there and look. I mean, even now, I still go on the website and I tell Salem, don't you want a little brother or sister? Because they have all these little cute dogs over there, and they all need good homes. And if you're looking to adopt a pet, I suggest you try the Lorain County Dog Pound first. I mean, you pay for the license and just a nominal fee, and you got a great dog and a great companion and somebody that's going to be in your life for the rest of your life, and they'll love you no matter what.
Hello, my fellow commissioners and I are here at the Lorain County Dog Kennel on Hadaway Street, just south of Elyria City Discount, Value City. We invite you to stop out and see the facility here. We have lots of dogs available for adoption. We also encourage all dog owners to register your dog each year and get a dog license. That's your dog's ticket home in case it gets lost. It has a number and can easily be identified so that your dog can be returned to you in case he or she might take a little walk and you are unaware of it.
Along with the regular licensing that the county requires for all dogs, we also have a special dog license. It's a special heart medical care license tag for an additional $5. And the proceeds from that go to help us when we pick up a stray that's injured, hurt, or needs extreme medical care. It helps defer the cost for us. So next time you get your dog license, please pick up the special heart tag.
The Lorain County Commissioners would like to welcome you to come down to the Lorain County Dog Kennel. We also have a website that you can check out. Just click on Dogs to Adopt. There's plenty of dogs to choose from. It's like this little girl right here. This is Sadie. You can come down, make sure it's a good match for you, take the dog out, take it for a walk. But please, if you're thinking about adopting a dog, come out to the Lorain County Dog Kennel and see if there's a match for you.
Give the Lorain County Dog Kennel a call or check their website for photos of currently available dogs. Remember, your best friend is just waiting for you.
Lorain.